Welcome to Get Shirty, the podcast where we ask our guests about the things in life that just never fail to irritate and gets them all shirty. The chat focuses on homework and going out, but could go anywhere. But it's not all doom and gloom either, as each guest gets a made-to-measure shirt which they design. So we talk about that too. So, who did we tailor for this episode? Well, it's actor and podcast giant Michael Fenton-Stevens. Not only is Michael the host of the My Time Capsule podcast with almost 350 episodes under its belt, but he is also a star of stage and screen. From heading up the Groovy Gang in Only Fools and Horses to playing Sir Henry in Benidorm, Michael is hardly off our screen. He's also played Paul Morgan in The Archers, so he's no stranger to radio either. And he is soon to be returning to the West End as the all-powerful wizard in Wicked. Where does he find the time? Well, we're delighted he managed to squeeze in being our guest today. So here we go. 3 tailors, 2 mics, 1 guest, and a host of irritations. Let's get shirty.
So how delightful. I managed to get my favourite shirt
Excellent.
for this interview.
Well, good. And so tell us a little bit about your favourite shirt.
Well, it was bought for me for my 50th birthday by my daughter, who at the time would have been 25. And I'd been going on for years about the fact that I couldn't find a nice flowery shirt. And she suddenly said, I found you one. There you are, it's your birthday present.
It's a lovely distinct pattern.
It's a very
as well, isn't
light
it?
shirt, and it's very comfortable. And I've always had a fantastic reaction to it. Every time I've worn it, women say to me, they come close, which is nice, unusual at my age, and they say, what a lovely shirt. And then I had a wallet. Immediately inside it were photographs of my children and my wife. And even though, this would have been at the age of 24, 25, so I was very young.
I was going to say, so you got married young?
Very young, yeah. I got married when I was 23. My wife was 21. And we had children immediately. So I had
the very next day?
Immediately, just like that. Right, I want children, pop them out, no trouble. But yeah, so she would stay at home and I would go off on tour. I would go all over the world and have a fabulous time. She'd stay at home looking after children.
So that was the theatre?
That was theatre. Theatre does that for you. It takes you away. And it means there's a lot of time. And then also, when you're working with people, it's terribly intimate and very close. And it's understandable, I think, to an extent, that people tended to. It's one of the reasons why people break up as actors, young actors. It's because you could say it's a tempting world. But it didn't tempt me, I'm glad to say.
Well, that's good.
Because I'm still happily married, 45 years later, amazingly.
That's great. It's the Strictly curse now. I suppose that's what they call it.
The Strictly curse.
The Strictly curse. Every year is who's it going to be this year?
But she bought me this thing, and it's always been my absolute favourite shirt. I've worn it, and I'm wearing it particularly today in order to demonstrate to you how much I love it. And it still fits me. 55 to now, 50 to now. That's not bad. I'm 67.
That's very good.
Yeah,
very good. You're doing something right.
Well, either that or I've been through other stages. I mean, that may be the truth. The fact may be that yes, I now am the same size as I was when I was 50, but in between that, I've not been.
the wilderness years for the eating and the food.
The lockdown years, we call them.
Years, yeah.
Oh, terrible. In fact, I absolutely fell apart. There's that thing where you think you're not. It's weird, isn't it, in life, when somebody says to you, how are you? You go, I'm fine, great, lovely. And during lockdown, I had exactly that. I remember that all the way through school. Everybody say, you're right at school? Yeah, fine. I hated school, terrified. Almost every day of my life, terrified. What's going to happen today? It was full of weird men and bullies and horrible.
Yeah, school's a funny one, isn't it? Some people have such a brilliant time and they look at it through rose-tinted glasses almost. Oh, that was brilliant. I can remember this teacher. But I think I'm much like yourself. I had an experience where every day was a worry. Yeah. There's something's going to happen. And I went to a few schools where there were a lot of bullies. So there was always that was sort of in the background.
Well, I mean, it was a different time as well. My school was... I didn't get too dark, and my school had some very unpleasant powerful men who enjoyed causing pain and discomfort for young boys.
Right.
So luckily I was not picked on in that way, but I know friends of mine who were, and it affected them for the rest of their life. But at the same time, we were all beaten and whacked every day. I mean, I always say that I was only caned once. We were standing, queuing, waiting to do sports, and we were lining up outside the gym, and there was an alarm, the fire alarm on the wall. And a mate of mine went, "Oh, look at that," he went, bang. I said, "Can't break it." And I knew that he'd cupped his hand and hit the rim. And I went, "Oh yeah, cool, bang," and I did it as well, thinking it was funny. And then the boy standing next to us went, "Really?" and set the school fire alarm off. Now, of course, we were immediately ratted out.
Yeah.
Who did that? And the three of us lined up there and we said, "Well, we didn't tell him to do it, sir. We didn't make him do it." No, that was it, right? Bend over, whack.
Yeah.
And that's something I'll never forget, because that was a proper cane.
Right.
It was a real swishy, long piece of willow. Whack.
So you heard it before it struck.
You heard it coming.
Yeah.
Although we had some very strange teachers at my school. We had a French teacher who was, strange enough, later in life, when I started acting, I did a number of things with him on an amateur basis, and he was a very keen amateur actor.
Right.
And when I met him in those circumstances, he was a delightful, funny, pleasant man who never caused anybody any problems. And he was, I think, because he was happy in that situation, But in school, he found it endlessly frustrating. Obviously, he was a French teacher, not French and a teacher, but he taught French, and he hated the fact that children, first of all, weren't bothered, weren't really that interested in it, and secondly, that they just didn't get it. And I don't think he ever realised that was because we were all terrified of him. That if we didn't know the answer, he would scream and shout at us. And most of the French lesson was done on a big whiteboard with a projector, so the curtains were always shut. All through summer, the curtains are shut. It's baking hot. You're sitting in this dark room with these things coming up there, and this strange man with a red face shouting at you in a foreign language. Never went in.
No, that doesn't sound like the most conducive learning environment, particularly, does it? Did you have to do the language lab thing as well?
No, we weren't quite that advanced at that point. No, we never went that far. So no, it was all entirely down to shouting at red face. Yeah. Jean et Colette, what are you talking about? We don't know what you mean. And we were supposed to finish the sentence. We had no idea.
But has any of the French have you found in later life that it suddenly popped into your head?
I'm still to this day terrible at languages.
Right.
I've never developed the skill of, I think the moment people talk to me in a foreign language, I switch off. My brain just stops listening.
Right.
And it's embarrassing, really. Because people can say things to me several times. I went on holiday to Greece once, and my wife and children, I think quite deliberately, left me for at least 2 weeks. We went for a month. It's one of those fantastic long summer holidays that you can occasionally have as an actor if you've had a good year, you know what I mean? So off we went, stayed in this villa, beautiful. And we would walk down to town every morning to buy some bread, and I would wave to the locals. Very friendly. Aren't they lovely, all the people? They were so friendly. And they would come out of their houses to see us pass and wave and smile and laugh, and then go back to their villas. And I felt like the laird.
Yeah.
And I was shouting, morning to them, good morning, morning, morning. And then my wife said to me after 2 weeks, she said, "So should we get some bread?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Actually, before we go, what's good morning in Greek?" And I said, it's not calamari." I went, "What?" I said, "It's not calamari. That's squid. It's calimera." And I went, "What? Say it again. Calimera. What have I been saying? You've been saying calamari." So I've been shouting squid at these people every morning.
Giving a big wave.
Squid! Squid. Yeah. And obviously they came out of their house to see the stupid squid man. You'd invite relatives. You must come over. There's this bloke who walks by and shouts squid every morning.
I imagine they put a lookout at the top of the street.
He's coming!
Here comes the squid man.
Squid man, absolutely. I'm sure. They must have been very I think the chances are that even though she told me several times, this is how bad I am at languages, I probably almost certainly, when she wasn't there, said calamari anyway.
Reverted back.
That's it.
I did a very similar thing. My sister lives in France, and we went to a friend of theirs' house for a lovely evening, lots of drink, and they gave me a gift when we left. I went to say I'm very happy, and I said, je suis très jolie.
Very pretty.
I'm very pretty. And of course everybody burst out laughing, and I just went, and I looked at my brother-in-law, and he was just like, shoved me out the door. And it was only the next day that they then, so it's so easily done.
We've all made those mistakes.
Yeah.
I went to see Holland versus South Korea in the World Cup final in France in 1998 with my family. We toured all around France and went to watch football matches that didn't involve England, because they were terrifying. And we had a fantastic time, a really great holiday. And we would adopt a country. Holland went 5-1 up. And after every goal, up came the score. 1-0, but. And 2-0, but. 3-0. And after 5, when it said 5-1, I turned to my wife and said, there's no buts about it. They're going to win. And she went, it's boot. It means goal. Oh, right. Useless. I am really useless with languages, which is why I learnt, my parents all lived in France for a long time, and I used to go there and try and join in with conversations, which you can if you're drunk. You can join in with foreign conversations. I learnt one phrase which got me through hours of conversation with French people, which is they would say something and I would go, oui, mais.
All right.
You know,
yeah.
Which again, but.
All right. Okay.
You know, and they would go, oh, oui, mais, and then off they would go with another possible scenario.
Yeah.
And it covered me a lot. And then eventually, my father-in-law said, French people say there's no English cheese that's worth eating. So could you find a really good cheese shop in England the next time you come down and buy some lovely English cheese from all over the place? So I did, bought this amazing cheese, and he had a big barbecue in his garden, invited all the neighbours, and they all ate the cheese, and we'd go, oh, c'est très joli.
Yeah.
You know? And then he said to them, it's all English cheese. No, incroyable. And then he said, and this will really surprise you. And he said, Mike, sing the Marseillaise. And I'd learnt the Marseillaise.
All right.
Because I like athletics, and I used to go to see athletics, and in athletics, you celebrate every team winning. So when we were going to see European championships, and I said to my wife, the French will win some medals. She said, oh yeah, definitely. They're really good team. As many as us. And I said, okay. So I learned Le Marseillaise, and just phonetically, I didn't really know what it meant. And I like to sing. So I stood up and sang it. And the man next to me started talking to me in French afterwards. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm English. Oh. He went, what? You are English? I said, yes. He said, but you know the Marseillaise? I said, yes, well, I like it. I think it's a lovely, very great anthem. I wish we had something like that. And he went, okay. Next time they won a medal, there were about 10 people there, which he said, come and see, a bit like come and see the Squid man.
Yeah.
Come and see the man who, the Englishman
stood you in the corner.
Marseillaise.
Look at him, look.
And then by the end, every Frenchman in the stadium was standing around me when the last medal was given out, and we gave the most fantastic rendition, the most stirring, beautiful rendition of it. And the French commentator who was standing down the bottom afterwards stood there and applauded us all. It was fantastic. I was interviewed by somebody from Swedish television. The problem is I got known as this man who sings the French national anthem, and other countries were coming up and saying to me, do you know any otdo national anthems? And I went, like what? And they said, this Swedish man said, I think we're going to win a medal tomorrow for the pole vault. Do you know the Swedish national anthem? And I went, I don't think I do. He sang it to me. And I said, well, I could try and learn it. He said, okay, good, and we'll film you.
Oh, wow.
So being a show-off and an actor, I went home that night, and instead of having a lovely meal, I sat and learnt the Swedish national anthem. And then the next day sang that, and then I learnt the Italian, and then I learnt the German. And
so
that was my
which one can you still do?
I still do the Marseillaise.
All right.
Do you want me to do it?
Oh, God, yeah.
Okay. Allons enfants de la patrie, le jeu de gloire est arrivé. Contre nous de la tyrannie, le gendarme sangouin élevé, le standard sangouin élevé. Attendez-vous dans la campagne, meugles et féroces soldats. Ils viennent jusque dans nos bras, égorger nos fils et nos campagnes. Aux hommes et citoyens, formez vos bataillons, marchons, marchons, 15 un peu, à preuve à Sillon.
Wow. Hey, it's very good.
It's stirring.
Yeah.
Watch out, these terrible people are coming to your country. Defend yourself against invaders.
Ah.
So actually it's people who haven't started a war but will defend
Will
themselves
look after themselves
to the death.
The podcast itself is talking about just having a general chat, obviously, as well. But the other thing that we do is called Get Shirty.
Mm-hmm.
We've looked at your shirt in terms of what we want to do. And we're going to try our best to recreate this wonderful shirt that you're wearing today, or do a modern take.
I'm very excited about it. I think that actually it's going to be, it's going to be one I'm going to treasure.
Oh, I hope
it's a lovely thing to sit down and actually think about what elements of a garment you'd like to have. I've never had anything made for me apart from as being part of a production.
Yeah.
And then
like
really
costume.
You're being led by the wardrobe mistress or the wardrobe master. So the person who's in charge of that will say, well, we're going to put this in, we need that. And they're just measuring you and fitting you.
Right.
So actually being part of the process is nice.
So do you get, in that situation then, do you get much opportunity to put your own stamp on it? Can you kind of say, well, I think the character would like this? Can we
maybe.
do a...
I mean, generally the thing you'll say is, look, at one point I have to take a prop on with me. It would be really nice if I had a pocket inside that I could put it in later. So you're thinking about the technicalities. But you do... Excuse me, Vicar. You do... There are some things you can do. So, for example, that would generally be about the thing being uncomfortable, or I have to do this movement, I have to have a fight or something in it, and I can't move my arms properly. It's too restricting, so they would change it for that reason. Or you just for safety, you suddenly go, I'm worried about getting this caught on the scenery or whatever. So they change it for those reasons. I've worn some amazing things in my time, amazing.
Is there one that stands out as...
Yeah, I did a production of Amadeus with Tim Piggott-Smith, yes, whose son, Tom Piggott-Smith, does a lovely podcast where he talks to musicians about how they go about their business. It's really lovely podcast. But Tim was a really, really nice man. With also in that production was Toya Wilcox, and she's a great actress. She was at the National Theatre before she was picked up to be a pop star. So she was absolutely destined to be a successful actress, and then suddenly pop music diverted her. But she's in films, and she's in Quadrophenia.
Quadrophenia, that's the only one that I automatically sort of sprung to mind.
Yeah, but she was working at the National Theatre when her record company said, it's gone to number 2 or something. And she went, oh, better go and do that. Better go and be a pop singer.
Yeah, yes. Well, which actually, you've had your own fair share of that.
I have, yeah. Well, you say fair share. Unfair share, I would say, considering the quality of what I've done, because I've had a number 1 in this country, which was the Chicken song, which was a Spitting Image song.
That's right. I remember it well.
You're
actually,
that old.
I am that old.
Yeah. So from the pockets of babes and children, that's how we would describe it. That's what we did. We raided the piggy banks of young people, and all insisted that their parents bought them this record, and we sold, I think, close to 800,000 copies. And I was the only singer on it who took a percentage. Everybody else took a fee, which was a big mistake.
Yeah, that was very shrewd on your... So do you... I imagine the checks have got smaller, but do you still get checks from it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, amazingly, after all this time. Yes, but they offered us a percentage. So you can take we'll give you, I think mine was sort of 0.5%.
Right.
A very small amount, it would seem. But 0.5% of 800,000 sales is a lot of money.
Yeah.
I have to say, I was very delighted when I got the first check. And
that was a long holiday year, wasn't it?
Great holiday. Everybody else had taken 500% of their initial fee. So I think around that time we used to get paid about £300 for doing a recording session, and they, which was good money, very good in the 80s. Most people, more than most people, were earning a week, and you'd get it for doing a session. And then they all took 500% of that, which was very nice, £1,500. And then for the rest of time, every time they see me, they say, you took the percentage of you.
I was thinking about this the other day, actually, when I was kind of knowing that we were going to do this and thinking about the things that you'd done. I did wonder whether you actually got anywhere near Top of the Pops, because of course it was all the puppets, wasn't it? But did you?
Well, we were asked to go and sing live at Top of the Pops, yeah. And then for some reason it didn't happen. But a number of things like that. With Spitting Image, it was strange because you sort of would go in and have a session, and you may record 3 or 4 songs in that time. It was incredibly quick the way it was done.
So did you do all the songs for Spitting Image, or a lot of them?
And then others would come up and you'd go back and do them, and there was nearly always something new every week. So you were going back into the studio and recording another song with some amazing singers. I mean, singing on that track is a singer called Tessa Niles. These are not famous singers, but they are amazing singers. Tessa Niles was David Bowie's backing singer.
Wow.
Sang on almost every tour he ever did, and is on most albums.
Incredible.
So she's extraordinary. There's Lance Ellington was on that, who's the son of the man who was the band leader on the Goon Show, Ray Ellington, and he is famous for singing Gillette, the best a man can get. Yeah, which was worldwide and went on for many years.
And I was going to say that's the money spinner.
Yeah, those things are. Yeah, those things are. Yeah. And I had, but then you find yourself out of your depth at times. I got away with it because I can sing, and I'm very quick at picking up a tune. So I would go in slightly early, and Philip Pope, who was my friend, who we'd also done other recordings with in the past, and I'd known him for many years, he would play me my part and say, you're singing this, and I go, okay, I've got it. And then I could do it. Now, the man who was the booker, who booked all these amazing singers, one day said to me, we're doing an advert on Thursday. Do you want to sing in it? I went, yeah, sure, great. And it was for KP Dips. They'd just been launched, and we all turned up at the studio, and I walked in, and there was a full orchestra and a full rock and roll band and 8 singers. And the musical director came over, handed us all pieces of music and said, okay, we go from bar 32 and 2 and 7 singers started singing. And one singer went, ooh, ooh, ooh. And he went, who's singing to B? Oh, me, I said. He went, well, go on. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't read music. And he went, sorry? I said, I don't read music. He said, who booked you? And the booker assumed that I did, but I couldn't, and it was the most horrible thing. And bless it, Lance Ellington went, right, everybody go and get a coffee. Lance said, Mike, come with me. He sat down at the piano, he went, that's your part. You got it? I went, ooh, yeah, I got it. And saved my life. It was horrible to be out of your depth amongst experts.
The blood draining from your face.
Sweat running down your back.
The other side of the podcast as well is things in life that perhaps make us a little bit shirty in life. So we've sort of looked
How long
at.
Have you got?
Yeah, well, this is it. And one of the areas we sort of look at a little bit in that is work. So would that be one of your sort of one of the things in life that gets you?
You know, the technical rehearsal for plays, particularly long, complicated plays, can go on for days and days. And this would be like a 2.5 hour play. It takes days to technically rehearse it before you're allowed to actually run it again. So you will be saying a line and they go, okay, hold it. And then you stand there for 5 minutes. You're not allowed to move because they're moving lights and they're getting things right. And they go, okay, you just go back a line and you carry on. And you go about 3 or 4 more lines and they go, okay, stop. And then you stand there for 10 minutes. And if you start chatting with the other actors, they go, sorry, we're trying to work here. Can you keep the noise down? It's incredibly dull. And find that I'm not the most patient person in those
Right.
situations. Why is it taking so long? Because other people are doing their job and it's difficult. But I find it difficult. There are work I've learned to be. It doesn't do you any good to not be in a good mood at work. It's I've never understand why people do it really.
Yeah.
Because it can stick as well. One of the things with the acting world is that there's lots and lots of people all working together to make one thing happen. And if somebody in it is a moaner or doesn't try hard enough, they really stick out.
Yeah, I suppose as well, you might only work with that one person for a day or 2 days, and that's the part where they need to make the right impression, or you need to make the right impression. And you could have just been having that one bad day that you took to work.
Yeah, true. But I know I find that, but my wife says that my impatience is still there. I've worked hard to control it, but I still find do you know the way I do it now is I try to turn it into a situation that I enjoy. For example, the announcement on trains and tube stations, see it, say it, sorted, I find endlessly annoying. First of all, I have seen it, I have said it, and they didn't sort it. So my experience of these situations is it doesn't work anyway. That I said to the person, this is wrong, and they went, oh, okay, yeah. And I said, they went, well, what do you expect me to do about it? I went, well, what's the point in saying see it, say it's sorted if that's the point? Also, it really annoys me that the last word doesn't rhyme. But don't you think?
Yeah.
See it, say it, something it.
Yeah.
Sort it.
Yeah.
Not sorted.
Yeah.
See it, say it, sort it. But then the problem is that doesn't work because it's not. So whoever wrote the advertising has sort of cheated and not done their job. Surely, I think with a little bit of effort, they could have come up with 3 things similar to that work. And also, there's an announcement on the tube. So my solution in those situations is whenever those things are said, I join in, or I say, well, that's no, you don't. I would say loudly on a train.
Yeah.
We all know you don't do that.
Yeah.
And other people would look at me. First of all, they might look as though a bit mad, but then generally people go, yeah. And then the tension's gone.
Yeah.
On the underground, people say this is going to annoy you forever afterwards. I'm
All right,
afraid,
okay.
I tell you this.
Oh, I'm prepared.
They say there are delays on the Circle Line, the Westminster Line, the Jubilee Line, and the Northern Line. All other lines have a good service. Now, there are 2 things really fundamentally wrong with that. One, a good service is a qualitative decision.
Yeah.
I'm the person who decides if it's good, not them. A full service, yes. A scheduled service, all those things are acceptable. But don't tell me it's good. I'll tell you if it's good.
Yeah.
I'm the customer. So it's an Americanism that's come in. They've said if you say it's good, people will believe it. So they do it all the time. But also, how can it be a good service? Even if all those other things seem to be running well, it can't be because it's an interconnected service. So if there is anything wrong with any part of it, it's all wrong.
Yeah.
That's my theory. And I will go, no, it isn't. Not in my opinion. And I will talk to people on the platform saying, well, it can't be a good service, can it? So again, I think I'm amazed that one, that I've never been punched in the mouth, and 2, that I've never been arrested.
Well, I suppose there's always time. Let's hope those days never come.
Possible.
But I always like it when someone draws me in a public setting like that.
Right.
I think as a nation, we're so reserved, aren't we? We don't sort of, oh, there's somebody over there talking and they might be talking to me. I'll look the other way.
Yeah, no.
But I like it. I think
that
it's something that's missing.
Once they've broken that barrier. Nearly everybody, if you start to talk to people in that situation, once they get over the first reticence of, you shouldn't be talking to me, we don't do this. Which is why we're famous in adversity for dealing with it, because we break that barrier and then everybody works together. But I've also done other things on trains. When you say you've managed to avoid being punched in the mouth, this is extraordinary. There was a man once who was on the train. He was a solicitor. He was dictating letters for his secretary to write into a dictaphone in a full public train, crowded with people.
Wow.
In a loud voice.
Yeah.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I find it difficult that people talk loudly on mobile phones anyway. And I did for a while. I used to join in with their conversations. I get my own phone out and say the other person's part. So if somebody would say, yeah, I go, well, I know, but he's only 6'2". And they go, really? I can't believe it. I say, yeah, no, I know, he looks taller. But and I would just fill the gap in, which people around would become amused about, but they never caught on. Once one bloke went, sorry, what are you doing? So I'm talking to my mother, talking to my mum on the phone. He went, no, you're not.
Yeah.
So that was close.
Yeah.
But another time, this solicitor was sitting there dictating these letters, and I was looking at people were looking at me, and we were going, unbelievable. Then he got up and went to the toilet and left his dictaphone on the desk. So I picked it up.
Oh, fantastic.
And I said, P.S., could you put at the end of these letters that these have all been dictated on a public train? Thank you. Just put it back down again.
Super.
And people around me went. And he came back and we all feigned ignorance. It was wonderful. Brilliant. The whole train agreed the man deserved it.
Oh, but that's, you see, that's the sort of thing I'd think and not do. Is like that. That's
in life you've got to do it. I think it's when the world is tough to deal with.
Yeah. Those
things give you strength.
And now he knows who it is.
Yeah.
If he watches this, if you're watching this, you know who I am. You don't know where I live.
Well, it should be like a badge of honour for him now. You know,
I'm that man.
You are that man.
I'm that idiot.
What's clear is you're somebody who takes that sort of the annoyances in life and spins them to something that brings a bit of joy.
Yeah, that has been the way I've got through them because they annoy me too much. Do you know? I mean, I can get too wound up by them.
Oh, and that's easily done, isn't it? And it's too easy to hold on to, I suppose. And that's one of the things that perhaps in this podcast, talking about the things that get under our skin in life is to sort of exorcise them a little bit, so kind of get rid of them and sort of. I think there's a great power in sharing these things for other people as well. To go, oh, it's not just me, because sometimes you think, oh wow, it's only me that gets wound up by these things.
Or I'm the only person who thinks that's a stupid announcement. And actually, when you do it, people around you will go, what are they talking about? And you go, so we're all slightly annoyed by this. Yeah. We're all slightly annoyed by the fact that they brought in some sort of American advertising company and they've said to them, well, always call it good, always say better, say, up yourself.
It's a bit like sort of filling in your own feedback form, isn't it? We were brilliant.
Fine. Well done. But you're not the person we're asking.
And I've been stood here for 15 minutes. That's good. Well, so look, in terms of annoyances, we cover 3 areas. I think you've done pretty well, actually. We tend to look at
that. I instantly knew them.
Yeah. They were right there. It's we're sort of taking the Mars bar approach. So it's work, rest, and play. Really, So work life, I think we've covered that. Mm-hmm. Maybe a bit going out, but is there anything in the sort of rest, the homestead that you think you don't have to name names or point fingers,
No.
But if there's anything at home that you think,
I mean, I wish that I have other friends who are very, very good at keeping friends. Do you know what I mean? Are very good at making sure their friends are constantly contacted. So I am annoyed with in a way I use acting as an excuse. I sort of go, my life is so inconsistent that I can't keep things up on a regular basis. So in a way I often let friends disappear, and then because in acting it is what you have to do. You can be working fantastically intimately with people for 6 months, see them every day, most of the day, and spend all your time with them, and then it finishes. And that happens again and again and again. And those are almost like bereavements, some of them. They're as hard almost as if you've been working on it for 20 years with people.
I suppose, and do you sort of harden yourself to that before you start a project? You think, actually I'm getting on with this person really well.
Yeah, it doesn't stop me getting close to them or liking them. But I think the more you do it, the more you are aware that at the end when you say, when I was a very young actor, the very first thing I did, everybody went, okay, so look, next Thursday, let's all get together and let's all go to the pub. And we tried to make it linger. Now we don't. Now people I finish a show on the last night or I finish filming or whatever, and I say to people, fantastic, I've had a fantastic time with you. See you soon, I hope. And that's about all you can do. Because there are too many people,
Yeah.
too many people that I've loved
Yeah.
to be able to stay with them all. I just can't. I have enough trouble keeping up with my own family, sadly.
But I suppose now, though, you've got the podcast of people sort of going, oh, well, perhaps you'll invite me on the podcast soon,
It's more the other way, actually, strange enough. I do persuade people to come onto the podcast who don't know me. I've spoken to lots of people that I do know, and that's nice because that's sort of like catching up, but people I don't know at all. And for me, my podcast is a journey of discovery about these people. I don't do much research into them, and I don't ask them to tell me what they're going to put into a time capsule, so it's a surprise each time. And
it's a great idea. It's a really good concept.
I think that sort of simple ideas work well. I think that it's an easy one to get a grip on. And actually, I leave it up to other people. When I'm talking to them, I don't go into too many details. I say 5 things from your life you put in a time capsule, 4 you love, and 1 you'd like to forget. Put it in there, bury it, it's gone. You don't have to worry about it again.
Yeah.
And they go, okay, what sort of things? I say, anything you like. Who's it for? That's up to you.
Yeah.
You can look at it, or you can think about the future, or you can think about when mankind is gone and somebody digs it up. Any of those things, whatever you want to do with it. And they're all interesting, But I talk to people I don't know, and then when I meet them in person, and that may be the first time I've met them. For example, I went to see Angela Barnes, the stand-up comedian at Trinity in Tunbridge Wells the other week, and then a couple of days later went to see Stephen K. Amos, the brilliant stand-up comedian.
Yeah, it was very recently, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I sort of sent them a message saying I'm coming, I look forward to the show, and they went, "Oh, come back and say hello," and both of them greeted me as if I were an old friend, and we'd never actually met in person. We'd only ever met on Zoom.
Wow.
And Stephen said, "Come on, we've got to go for a drink. Where are we going?" We went out. It was great.
Oh, lovely. Lovely. Is there anybody on the podcast that is the holy grail of guests that you really like to get that you haven't managed to get yet?
Yeah.
It's over, what is it, 330 something?
About 330 something, 340, getting close to. I know, we do churn them out, but they're fun to do, which is why we're able to do it, really. Sometimes it's quite a pressure to keep that many coming out, but podcasts are difficult to make pay, I think, so for most people, so you sort of, in a way, quantity helps.
Yeah,
sadly,
sure.
But Holy Grail, well, not necessarily the most famous, I mean, there are a couple that I've missed, annoyingly. I was very, very close to talking to Michael Parkinson, which would have been an extraordinary thing, to talk to the greatest interviewer, to interview the greatest interviewer the world's ever known, I think. That would have been an extraordinary thing.
I agree.
And talk to him about his life. And to see, really, if I could hold my own, if I could be anywhere near as good as he was at doing it. So that would have been fascinating. And then sadly, suddenly found he died, The same with Tim Brooke Taylor. I was going to talk to him, and then he died of COVID. Very, very, very sad. And there have been other people like that. Some people I have spoken to and then have died shortly afterwards, and it's really disturbing because you don't really know what to do with the thing.
Yeah.
I always basically send the full recording without any changes or edits or anything, so they can hear everything around it. And I send it to their family and say, this is yours, and we won't do anything with it.
Well, that's a lovely way to.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to make sure that you're not going to abuse the situation. But I mean, there are people I've known for a long time that haven't done it, and I'd like to do it with them. I mean, I've known when I was a young student, first got into doing comedy. I was going to be quite a serious actor. I was doing Shakespeare and I was doing all those sort of things at university, and thinking that would be my path. And suddenly, I was asked at the end of an audition to go up to the Edinburgh Festival. Somebody said, "Do you want to be in the review?" And I said, "What's a review?" And I didn't know what it was.
Wow.
And they said, it's like they do them at universities. It's sort of sketches and like Python, really. I went, "Oh, yeah, no, that sounds fun. I could do different voices and characters and stuff." Yeah. And they said, "Oh, well, this is Angus. He's going to audition you." It was Angus Deaton who was putting together that year's review to go to Edinburgh, and he cast me. He cast me because I was bloody good.
You shone so brightly.
Who else would he cast?
Yeah.
Actually, cast me because I could sing really high, and we were going to do a parody of the Bee Gees.
Yeah.
That's why. That's why.
The
He cast me.
heebie-jeebies.
Heebie-jeebies, all that way back. Yes, which was great fun, and we had a lovely time together for many years doing those things. And but he sort of cast me because he said, "Can you sing?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Can you sing in falsetto?" And I did. And he said, "Okay, sing something." So I sang. "I Left My Heart in San Francisco" by Tony Bennett. I sang that. Shows off your range. I got about halfway through, and he said, "Yeah, lovely, great. But now sing it and I don't know, make me laugh." So I thought, blimey. So I went, okay. I left my heart. And he laughed. And he said, "Do you want to do the review?" And that was it. And it sort of changed my life, actually. Changed the direction of everything I was going to do. And I was in this thing with him and Philip Pope. We did the heebie-jeebies. We went on from that to do a radio series almost immediately. Before I'd finished being a student, we did the pilot for that. And then that went on to do 3 series of KYTV together. And they're still 2 of my closest friends, which is lovely. Lovely, that longevity, which again is unusual. As I say, there are lots of people I've worked with that I have loved and do love, but I don't get to see them very often. I don't get to see Angus and Phil that often, but we have a closeness that goes way back.
Yeah, and having that sort of, bond early on and doing so much together is it's a good sort of...
It is. And the reason I started telling you that go on, is that the person I would like to have on the podcast, who sort of said he will, but is never really free enough, is Richard Curtis, who actually directed the review that we did. So before he was well known and famous and successful. But I think he's one of the most extraordinary men that we've ever produced, actually. He's done all the things he's done. Any one of the things he's done would be enough for most people in a lifetime, and he's done them again and again. Amazing television, amazing writing, amazing films, made a fortune, obviously, out of those things, become very rich, given nearly all of it away.
Incredible.
And given up, and then set up Comic Relief. Actually came back and just went, we should do this comedy thing, and set it up, and went into the BBC and said, "Can you give us space for raising money?" And they said, "Well, I think we can give you an hour on a Friday evening." And he said, "No, I need the whole evening." And they went, "Okay." And it's ever since, and they've made billions.
It's incredible.
Raised billions and billions of pounds.
And it seems...
So, unlike Elon Musk, he's done something with his life.
Right, well that's it, isn't it? And actually it's something that seems to naturally pass down Comic Relief to the next generation. Like my kids, and I've got kids who are, early teenagers, and I've got a daughter who's early 20s. They've all done things with Comic Relief, and not because I've go and do something, just because it's naturally been a thing that
you inherit
that you inherit, and it just keeps sort of being handed on.
I remember before the television thing, we were all amazed that he did the television thing. We couldn't believe that he'd managed to persuade them. But we did a theatre very quickly after, because he did this extraordinary thing where he saw it on the television, saw the famous Michael Burke report about famine in Africa, in Ethiopia, and he booked himself on a plane the next day and flew to Ethiopia and said, "What can I do?"
Incredible.
And they said, "Well, there's stuff there," and he's putting on the back of this lorry. So he did it, and then while he was doing that, somebody said to him, what do you do, Dick? And he went, "I'm a writer." And he went, "Oh, right, yeah, what sort of writer?" He said, "Oh, a comedy writer. I write a thing, you heard of I Did Not Know I Got News?" And he went, "Yeah." He went, "Blackadder." And this fella said, "What the hell are you doing here? Go back and tell people you have a voice. We don't. All we can do is lug stuff about, but you can do something." And so he did. He went home and did do something.
Yeah.
Amazing. And
Took
the first thing
that
he was, we organised this theatre show. So I was in the very first Comic Relief theatre show, which was the one, I think it's quite famous. Lenny Henry does his Theophilus
Peabody Beast.
Yeah.
So when was that? Early
80. I don't know.
Gosh,
don't know. But we were invited because we were asked to come and sing the heebie-jeebies. But the people who are on it are Fenton-Stevens and Ben Elton and all sorts of amazing people.
Great. And you, for you, as you know, that's one. I mean, that must be such a highlight and thing to have done. But you've had such a long and sort of successful career. You know, the longevity is.
Yeah, I've been really. I mean, I've moved around a lot. I've done all sorts of areas. That's what's really lovely about it.
Yeah.
Is that I'm always. One of the things that happens to me on the podcast is somebody will start talking about something, and then I'll remember that was either in it or know the person who did it, and I've had something that is connecting me to it, and I would have forgotten it. I would almost have wiped it from my mind because there's just too many things.
Yeah.
And when you say that, that was so many highlights. The absolute highlight, I would say, it really is the highlight of my career. I think it was at that Comic Relief performance. We were told to stand in the wings after the last act, and which I think may have been Barry Humphries or something. It was just ridiculous. So we stand in the wings and then line up, and when it comes to the chorus of Feed the World, you come on and join in. So Bob Geldof and Midge Ure, who wrote Feed the World, were singing it on stage, and they sang the intro bit, and then when it came to Feed the World, we all walked off in the wings, and I'm standing lining up, and standing in front of me was Kate Bush.
Wow.
I know, I tingle at the thought of it now. And I was standing there watching it thinking, this is extraordinary. And she turned around to me and she said, "God, are you exciting?" And I tell you, that makes me cry. I thought this woman had done, when you say I've done it, what a life, what a things she'd done in her life, the things she's seen, and yet that moment to her was as exciting in her life as it was to me. And I thought that the humbleness of that, the fact that she recognised that this was an extraordinary
moment.
Yeah. So yeah, it was absolutely, without a doubt, that's my highlight, that little moment where I thought, Jesus Christ. And it made me also realise that it doesn't really matter where you go or what you do and how famous you become. You must try and retain that.
Yeah, and I was, hearing you talk about that, it's the sort of almost the ordinariness of the exchange as well that makes it the fantastic, the size of the thing, how humbling it sort of was for everybody in that moment. That's an incredible thing
that
to
the world
live through.
of superstars is just being a superstar, but actually it's not. They still do the washing. They still have a shower. They still have to go to the toilet. So fundamentally, they're exactly the same.
Kate Bush doesn't go.
There we go. Kate
No,
Bush.
except for Kate Bush.
Exactly. Goes to the toilet.
There's, I think, a really good example of you and your career. Actually, is something fairly recently, and I can't remember whether it was your podcast or whether it was Joe Wilkinson's podcast.
Right.
It was one of them. But Joe Wilkinson's excitement about talking to you. Oh, but you've done so much, and he was really, and you could see, how your career and what you'd done in that, how much he sort of coveted that, and how much it sort of made him think about the things that he could do, and that was really nice to listen to.
It is really lovely when that happens. It's happened a number of times. People that I've been really excited to have on, who I think are fantastic, and then at the end of it, they'll say, "I was a really big fan of," and it'd be something that I'd done.
Yeah.
Because as is the nature of things, often these people are younger than me, so they may well have been children when I did things, and you remember those things with such fondness, don't you?
Yeah.
So Joe, before he had all the fabulous success he's got and deserves, you remember those things clearly. But the great thing is that the people also show their own humbleness through the things they choose, and they genuinely do care about them.
Yeah.
So he said, once in his life, it's an extravagance. He said, I walking down the beach, Brighton, which is where he lives, and he said, I walked past and I saw these people sitting outside their beach hut, and I thought, look at that cup of tea, primus stove, the beach. I said, I'd love one of those. He said, I went home and I said to my wife, I saw this, it was lovely, I'd love one of those. And she said, well, buy one then. And I went, I couldn't I? She went, yeah, you can if you want. So I did.
Wow.
It's expensive. He said, I never bought anything so expensive in my life. He said, but I love it. You know, and you thought, well, that's, if people are going to make money and spend it, what a great way to do it.
But yeah, fantastic actually. It's that, and it is those smaller things in life, or the things that sort of create a moment in life rather than it, because actually that money he spent, it's not really on the physical thing, it's on the fact that
the experience.
I can sit here and have a cup of tea and go down
there. And he was also
there.
terribly generous with it. He said to me, I said to him, oh, lovely, great, you know, what a great thing to have.
Yeah.
He said, you see, have you got one, Mike? Get one. I said, no, I haven't got one, no.
Yeah.
He went, you can borrow mine. Use mine anytime you like. I went, see, there's lovely. You know, whereas he could have bought a Rolex. Who cares?
Yeah. Look at that. Look at my watch. Yeah.
No, don't look at my watch. In case you've got a knife.
yeah. Look away. Oh no, that is amazing. We've got one more get shirty area, which we've probably covered, but let's have a quick revisit. So we've done sort of work, rest, play, going out. Is there anything? I mean, trains, I suppose, is going out. But is there anything about the world of entertainment or going out or eating out that's sort of that last little annoyance? And we'll end it. We'll bring it back round to a positive. And then
I mean, no, I you know, generally, whenever I'm in those sort of situations, restaurants and things like that, particularly, the annoying thing for me in a restaurant would be someone who was rude to people who were serving them, that sort of thing. People who treated people as if they were unimportant, when in fact that sort of thing is absolutely infuriating. I think to myself, for God's sake, this person's going to walk, been here since 5 o'clock, going to keep going till midnight, carrying stuff, rushing back and forth all night long, and you're going to, at the end of the evening, probably not even tip them because you can't be asked. You think that you deserve it, and you don't. They are serving you, and they should be respected. And so that would annoy me. I hate that. I hate people, in a way, valuing one form of effort and work over others. You know, I recently went to the hospital while I was having something done on a local anaesthetic. These two incredible surgeons were talking to me about, you're an actor, aren't you? I said, yeah. What are you doing about? I said, I'm just about to do a play. And I was talking to them. They said, oh yeah, what's it? Oh, sing us a bit. I said, singing. I was lying there having things done. I was singing to them, and they were going, oh, that's incredible. What a thing. That's amazing. And I thought, no, I'm just I'm doing a bit of singing. Yeah. You are saving someone's life.
Yeah, it's it's that little sprinkling of stardust, though, isn't it? I suppose, you know, and I always admire people who do things that I can't. You know, that's the thing. And I suppose even if you're a surgeon, they look at you and go, well, I couldn't get up there and stand and do that every night. And it's a talent, I suppose, isn't it? It's a skill that you've had to hone like everybody else.
I think a skill more than a talent. I think just something that you've honed and you've worked at. You know, like anything. I may have had a little gift for it initially, or I may have had an instinct for it, but I've worked at it.
Yeah.
You know, I've trained myself. I've practiced a lot. So you don't just stand. I can't. How you stand up and say all those words? Well, because I said them 20,000 times before I did it in front of an audience. I said them all night long. I didn't sleep. Every time I woke up, the first thing that came in my mind were those words I had to say in front of all those people. So that when I said those words in front of all those people, it was nothing. It was easy.
And is that how are you learning by repetition?
Yeah. It's sort of the only way. I know one or two people who can look at things and just go away and say them. But I think you have to really also understand something as you're learning it. So you have to break it apart and then put it back together, and so you really know what you're saying. So you really understand what you're saying. Yeah. And I like the process of learning lines. I enjoy it. Yeah. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. You know, I mean, I'm quick now.
Right.
So it's a lovely skill to have. I have to say, it's very useful in other areas. If people say to me, tonight when they do it, could you just say something about that? I go, okay. And people then say, it's amazing, you just stand up and you just start, you did a couple of jokes, you did a thing, and you gave all the information and you said it all, and then you sat down, never really thought it was good fun, and
Yeah.
they laughed. I go, because the moment you said to me, when you have to say this in the evening, in the back of my mind is just constantly going, say that, put that there, or tell that joke, that's funny. But that's a good way to start it. And I'm writing it in my head. So by the time I come to say it, I've sort of practiced it, 4, 5, 6, maybe more times.
Right.
I may even have gone to the bathroom and, or found a quiet corner and just thought it through in my head, so that I'm not just standing up and saying things. I don't think anybody ever is. It's a practice skill.
And that's the professional. That's where you're a professional, and your professionalism comes out in what you do.
I think
it's
that
not just showing off.
It's not just showing off.
Yeah,
no,
but that's a nice part of it too.
Lots of people show off, and most of the time people go, "Oh, shut up."
That's my area.
I have had that, obviously, lots of times. Usually from my wife. Not again. Shut up.
Oh, well. Well, look, and that's probably a really good place to stop, actually, because as much as I feel we could talk, and it's a joy to speak to you, I'm conscious we're taking up a lot of your time. And
well, it's been lovely to talk to you.
Well, it's been very nice. A lovely way to spend an afternoon.
Yeah, I can't wait to see my shirt. I'm very excited.
And we can't. As soon as it's ready, we shall send it on to you, and some pictures of you wearing it would be
yeah,
lovely.
of course, yeah. I'm not just wearing it, displaying it. That's what I should be catwalking it.
Yeah, that I like. We'll hold you to that. We will hold you to that. But thank you so much for your time, Mike. It's been brilliant.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So there you have it, another episode of the Get Shirty podcast, all done and dusted. So we need to say a big thank you, obviously, to Michael for coming in and speaking with us. It was such a pleasure to talk with him, and I'm sure he'll agree it was amazing singing as well. We also need to say a big thank you to Dat Hazza, who provides the music for the podcast. Go and check him out on all the usual platforms, Spotify, YouTube too. That's Dat Hazza. Go check him out. The podcast was produced by Stuart Wilson and hosted by me, Stuart Hardman. I'm the owner at Hardman and Hemming Bespoke Tailors. Do get to our website, have a look at all the wonderful things we've got on offer. Hey, maybe even come and book an appointment. And especially if you're getting wedded, that's not the right word, especially if you're getting married, now's a really good time to come and see us at the shop. Take care, and until we speak again, try not to get too shirty.